finals and the bronze match for the number 3. Those matches will be best of 5, but before that, not yet. So this is round 1. After that we get round 2, and then we get the semi-final. So yeah. And with that, we are off. Straight off the bat, not much to be discussed about this introduction level. You would think, at least. As you can tell, there's a lot of movement in this screen right away, like a lot of dodging to be needed from enemies. You'll be wanting to dodge as many enemies as possible, or at least try not to kill them. Every enemy killed adds frames to the time lost. I think it's either 4 or 5 frames per enemy killed. So you can imagine losing a lot of time if you decide to kill every enemy you meet. Not just because of the slashing animation, but just, you know, that time lost. Second verse, same as the first. Just try not to kill stuff. Dodge things. If you have to kill it, it's pretty much only the enemies that are directly into your path. You'll see the players both dodging or sliding underneath the enemies. And they are approaching the first boss, quote unquote boss. Which gives me a good time to actually take a drink, because there's not much to be told about this boss. He has different attack animations, but we see them very rarely. The idea is just to jump slash, and you would usually kill him after one attack from him. Yeah, not much trouble. And we are introduced to one of the first, not really villains, I guess, it's just the opponent, I guess. Colonel is the brother of the robot girl we just saved, Iris. I have no idea how that works. But yeah, she is pretty much Zero's love interest, and her brother is an opponent that Zero very well respects. Sadly, as the story progresses, the army that the Colonel is working for, called Replicant Force, they are struggling to get independence from humans, and they are pretty much just blamed for an accident they had no part of. And they are now considered rogues and mavericks, and the maverick hunters are being sent after them to dispose of them. And first stage off is Magma Dragoon. There's not much in terms of route differences between the two players. Players will usually start with either Magma Dragoon, and I apologize for the noise. They will either start with Magma Dragoon or Jet Stingray. But again, it's a personal preference. It doesn't really make a lot of difference. The only difference that you can kind of note is that if you go for the Magma Dragoon route, you will get Zero's, let's see, what's it called? The Sky Waltz attack, which is basically a somersault slash. And strangely enough, that weapon is an actual downgrade from Zero's normal jump slash attack, which means you'll be doing less damage to Jet Stingray. Not much, just a little, but it's enough to make a small difference. Both players getting that very, not too tight, but still difficult wall jump. We've seen players fail it 4 to 5 times in this tournament, costing them a lot of time. Both players doing it in either the first or second attempt. Not much time lost, and going neck on neck versus the first boss, Magma Dragoon. He is pretty much the Capcom fighter robot right now, having all of the Street Fighter moves from Akuma, Ryu, you know, the Shoryuken, Hadouken. And what we just saw was the, let's see, the SDC move from Zero called the Sword Dash Cancel. During Zero's first and second attack, in his 3-hit combo, the enemies do not get any iframes. Meaning if you slash and move, you can cancel your follow-up combo doing an infinite amount of first hits, meaning enemies will never get iframes and bosses will just drop like there's no tomorrow. They will be sinking like a Titanic. Second stage in the route, Cyber Peacock. There isn't much to be told about this stage really. This stage rewards players for being as fast as possible going through the stages. If you were to play with Mega Man X, you would be getting rewards like I think it's the armor that you get. Anyway, you get a capsule 4x, Zero just gets an extra life. And you have to do this 3 times. You get an upgrade the first time, you get a life upgrade the second time, and you get another, I think a tank at the third time. Of course, you need to get an S rank for this. If you get any lower, you do not get the upgrade, so it's really par for the course to get those upgrades. You don't have to find them, you just have to be fast. Sprawl having a failed jump there, which will put him behind a little bit. Or actually, it allows 8-bit to catch up a little bit. Nice little damage boost from 8-bit. You do not want to get hit by those yellow orbs. They will attach themselves to you and you will be stuck in place for a few seconds. It is a big time loss. And again, the second stage, or rather the second part of the stage, there's also not much to be said around here. You just want to go fast, push the yellow buttons when you reach them, and it'll flip the screen upside down. Much like the Gravity Man stages from Mega Man 5. Again, it's not that complex, you can only go one way, so not much in terms of dodging or dangerous areas. Now we get to one of the first RNG related bosses in this game, Cyber Peacock. He has 3 different attacks. He has a attack where he appears right next to you and does that, his Crusher attack. He has an attack where he appears next to you and jumps up immediately. And he has an attack where he floats in the air and launches his missiles at you. Ideally, you want either the Crusher attack or you want this attack, and never the one where he leaps up, because that is a time loss. 8-bit going for the safer route of using the Rising Dragon Strike. It will cause Cyber Peacock to immediately remove himself from the field. It is a bit of a safer attack. If you go for a normal 1-hit and then Rising Dragon Strike, you'll deal more damage, but the risk is if he does his leap attack, the risk is that you will not be able to finish your attack, meaning you lose frames and time. Again, I apologize for the noise. I have playful cats and they're a bit too playful right now. And we see players going up for Split Mushroom. There is not much to be said about this level either. There is very little RNG in this level. Split Mushroom himself is completely predictable. He has no RNG to him whatsoever. So this is just purely an execution based level. If your execution is flawless, you will never be able to make more time. If you mess up, it will be very punishing. Sprawl approaching the first mini-boss of this level. Well, in a few seconds anyway. Here we go. This mini-boss is skippable if you use Mega Man X, however with Zero it is not a skippable boss. What you would do with X is, before you enter this, you will charge up your Rising Dragon Strike, and you will do a dash right after doing that strike. It allows you to skip the intro part of this boss and just run through him. And both players finishing it up nicely. A little bit of a swag crusher attack. Again, this part of the stage, not much RNG, purely execution and nothing else. Sprawl making excellent time right now. Not so much because 8-bit is playing great, but he is just not having as many issues. Like, he has maybe not a flawless play, but it is very exemplary of a good speedrun. If this were an AGDQ or an SGDQ, I would ask for donations right now, because there is not much you can do about this section. So tell me, chat, how are you doing? What are your predictions for this tournament? Assuming you have it. Check out the bracket, you can do some predictions there. Just look up to see who is your favorite runner so far. Yeah, the voice acting for Zero is pretty amazing. A little bit of a speed up there. 8-bit making up quite a bit of time by speeding up there. And now we get to Split Mushroom. As I said, there is no RNG to this guy. He is completely predictable in everything he does. Coincidentally, the world record holder of this game, Ariel, actually died to Split Mushroom in this tournament. And I like to remind him of that on almost a daily basis. He still won his match though, which is very impressive. Okay, not much in terms of time differences yet. Sprawl finishing up the level at 12 minutes 12 seconds. And 8bitisgr8 finishing up at 12 minutes 22 seconds, so a 10-second time difference. And now we get to the first auto-scroller of the game, like an actual auto-scroller, Jet Stingray. And we see a divergence, with 8-bit going for Storm Owl and Sprawl going for Jet Stingray. I don't know what the reason is for going for Storm Owl right now. It's probably a personal preference. The thing about Zero is, since his sword dash cancel is so strong, it doesn't really matter what the order of bosses is once you get Dragoon. It's probably just personal preference for the players. And Sprawl just finishing up the first part of Jet Stingray. 8bitisgr8 using the Hawk armor, going through the stage without any sort of trouble. Uh, 8bitisgr8 will be coming up to a little bit of a dangerous area where he has to skip some spikes. Let's see if he actually gets it. No problem. No problem. Jumps over the spikes like a champ. Let's see if Sprawl gets through this area unscathed. He had the life tank, he gets his weapon tank. No problem. And we see both players coming up to their respective bosses right now. Interesting part about Storm Owl, he is the only boss in this game that has no iframes while on screen. Meaning you can get the absolute max out of Zero's turret slash attack. He will do damage per frame. And the same goes for his Giga Crusher attack. And that is Storm Owl. Meanwhile, Sprawl having to deal with RNG Stingray here, who is playing very nice. No bad pattern. Just perfect. Just perfect. Roach, Welcome to the chat. You have not missed much. There's about a 10-second difference between Sprawl and 8-bit. They opted to take a different route just now, with Sprawl going for Jet Stingray and 8-bit going for Storm Owl. They are very close. There have not been any big upsets just yet. 8-bit going for Jet Stingray, which I assume... Ooh, Sprawl is going for the Maverick with the dumbest name in history, Web Spider. I swear, Web Spider. Come on, man. I mean, we can forgive Mega Man 1 for having Bomb Man, Fireman, Elect Man. But come on, Web Spider. You weren't even trying anymore, Capcom. You're like, you have Jet Stingray, you have Magma Dragoon, and then you get this chump. What's your name? I'm Web Spider. Come on. Ugramarch, the difference in PBs, I actually have to look that up for you because I don't know from the top of my head. I can quickly look that up. There isn't much to be said about these stages. Let's see here. 8bitisgr8 has a registered PB of 4241. For 8-bit, and Sprawl has... He has no PB. Oh wait, he does. Sprawl's PB is 4157. So that's pretty close. 4157 and 4241. About a minute difference. Oh, 8-bit getting the bad RNG with an immediate dive from Jet Stingray. Alright, not too bad, just one dive. Web Spider is another boss that has an interesting mechanic to his name. Web Spider has no iframes when he is off screen. Meaning you can totally skip his second stage and skip this entire setup with his webs if you kill him while he is on low health. Web Spider goes down. Go back to Australia. We don't want you here. Ugramarch, that's unfair. You can't use X7 Mavericks, because no one has played X7 and is willing to admit it. I mean, I admit that I played it and I did not like it. And I have no idea who's in that game. 8-bit going for Web Spider now, and Sprawl finishing up with Storm. Booba, the thing is, I should stop you, but I'm not going to. But I'm pretty sure you have a family who loves you, and they wouldn't want to see you go through that game. I will say that the creators for X7 tried something new, and I'll give them credit for that. And that is literally the only credit I'm willing to give them, that they tried something new. Sprawl going for the second part of the Storm Owl stage. It is very difficult to say who still has the lead here. Ooh, Sprawl, how did you do that? I was sure that would have been a kill for him. He dives into the spikes like a champion. I need to rewatch this match and see that again, because I have not seen anyone try that. That is insanely risky what he just did. And once again, both players approaching their bosses at the same time in different stages. Storm Owl not having his iframes, giving a nice pattern. And Storm Owl should be finished up right here, yep. Does not get the skip on Web Spider. Ibuba, for what it's worth, X7 has its flaws. But you should play it anyway, so you're introduced to a new character in the show, or in the series. If you can get your hands on it, I can recommend you to play Mega Man X8 though. I personally liked it a lot. It is a very nice throwback to the X games as they were supposed to be. But can we all agree that Mega Man X4 was the best of the next-gen X games? I mean, I'm just gonna say it. I mean, the Super Nintendo X games were fantastic, but this game is the pinnacle for the X series for me. Discuss! And while you all discuss that, I am going to take another drink. Hello players, it seems to me, let's see here, hello players on /beast right now. Ooh, 8-bit, small hiccup there. And wow, there is still about a 10-second difference between these two players, more or less. Okay, maybe not 10, but they're still very close. See, and after this they still have the Frost Walrus stage, so it's still anyone's game right now. Sprawl is ahead, but a single... I'm invoking the caster curse here. A single death can still break open this game. Alright. Sprawl approaching /beast. I don't want to call it a copycat, but he is strongly reminiscent of Slash Man from, I think it was Mega Man 8? I think, I'm not sure. 7 or 8, either way, it doesn't matter, he's kind of that boss. Except he looks cooler. Sprawl not getting a ideal pattern. 8-bit not getting the best pattern either. Nope. Ideally, you never want to see /beast do that dash. It costs a few seconds. Not the worst, but he can do it in a row. Yep, I am sneaking some chocolate because I can. Envy me. A small cameo from Mega Man X3. We have, and I have to say his name correctly. He is called Bilzard Buffalo. Not Blizzard, that is a lie. He's called Bilzard. A horrible, horrible, horrible typo for the cutscene in the PlayStation version of Mega Man X3, and one has to wonder who the hell was paid to do that. And there it is, the second last upgrade the players will be getting, the X-Tank. For those of you wondering, the X-Tank is completely useless for a speedrun. This chocolate is a bit too gooey. The X-Tank is completely useless. It is good for a casual player, but for a speedrun it is never going to help you. What it does is that it'll give you 2 extra lives if you have to, if you game over and you have to restart a stage. Instead of starting with 2 lives, you start with 4. That is all it does. That's all it's good for. But it is a part of the 100% run. And Sprawl going to pick up the last upgrade here. There it is, the weapon tank. Not very useful since the Giga Crusher is rarely used in this game. Not enough to warrant an energy tank. And both players still having a very solid game. A slight hiccups for 8-bit, but nothing really out of the ordinary. They'd still put me to shame if I try to play this game. Thank you, Ibuba. I try my best. I try my best to keep things interesting. Sprawl approaching Frost Walrus. Not much to be said about this boss either. He always does that thing where he's knocked back and then slides over the floor. And you can really attack him 2 ways. You can do the Rising Dragon Strike in his face, or do it the opposite way. Thus, the arc of Zero Swing will still hit him and set him on fire. And Sprawl finishing up the level at 27:16. That's when Zero gives the thumbs up. So I will say that 8-bit is about 20 seconds behind now. And Sprawl starting the first of the Replit 4 stages. While he's doing that, yeah, about 22 seconds difference. While he's doing that, I have to give a quick shout out to Fiesel and Mythical and everyone involved in the Mega Man X tournament. Be sure to give those people a follow. We have 8 speed gaming channels active right now. Be sure to give all 8 of them a follow. If you have the money to spend and you're like, well, Fiesel and Mythical are so poor, I have to give them some tacos, feel free to subscribe. Be sure to give the runners a follow. Obviously, they are putting up a heck of a show. And one reminder again, both of these players came through their knockout stages without losing a single game. They have won all their respective games.
Show me what you've got.
Well, Uber, then you have to catch up. We have 8 channels now. We made a, well, I used the phrase we, but obviously Fiesel and Mythical. They made Speed Gaming 5 about 2 weeks ago. And when I asked them when 6 to 8 were coming out, they simply replied, oh, we already have them. So, yeah, be sure to check out the schedule with all of today's matches. Right after this, we'll be having the Cuphead tournament for your entertainment, so be sure to give that a follow too. It is a very interesting tournament to watch. And Sprawl coming up to Iris. Iris has some bad news for him. Apparently she didn't really like her brother being put down like Gold Yeller. She took some issue with it. And this same girl who got her butt kicked by that tutorial boss all of a sudden has the power to take down Sigma. So yeah, that just happened. What line are we getting?
Stay with me, brother.
Oh, that's so cute. Sorry, Iris, but your brother was the colonel and chicken. He had to be put down. Oh boy, that's gonna hurt. Ooh, 8-bit, be careful there, dude. And Sprawl going to be approaching the last Raptor's boss in a few seconds, the General, and he is going to be a deciding factor here in the time spent between the two players, because the General is a very boss, a very RNG heavy. 8-bit's fight was specifically slower than Sprawl's. Yes, Sprawl had a much better execution. Sprawl approaching the General. The General can do two things. He can either float in a corner and throw his fists at you, and that'll be a quick kill, or he can do this. That is not what you want to see. You do not want to see the General floating around. The worst I've seen in this tournament is him doing that 4 times in a row. But if he does this and the execution is good, then it is an instant kill. And there we go, Sprawl gets him. Nails him down, and 8-bit is not being given a shred of mercy by the game. Also, Lucius, I kind of have to agree with you. The story is... It's a good story, but at the same time it is immensely stupid. And 8-bit is being trolled. 2 flight patterns. Let's see. And there goes the General. But that is costing him a lot of extra. Also, chat, can we get an F out for the missing meme? Both players are being very unfair and not showing us the meme. Press F for respects. Or simply put, what am I pressing F for? And it is time for the refights. Sprawl finishing up Dragoon, 8-bit just approaching Dragoon, which puts him behind in about 30 seconds-ish. He gets a very favorable RNG right from the get-go though. Not too bad, not too bad. Oh! Can we get a quick kill here? Sprawl has the health for it. He's not going for it. That is a shame. I'm actually no longer sure if that's a quick kill, if that's possible in the refights. There we go. Setting that stupid spider on fire. A little bit of a tongue twister there. Nope, does not get it. He does not get it. Okay, Cyber Peacock is going to be very straightforward. Just going for the Rising Dragon Strike. There's honestly not much to be talking about during these refights, as most right now have very predictable patterns. The only boss that has a sliver of RNG to him right now would be Jet Stingray, and that's pretty much it from this point on. Well, the only notable RNG, really. Excuse me for a bit. Despite everything, these bosses are still very closely together, and this may actually come down to Sigma 3. Because, make no mistake, Sigma 1 and Sigma 2 are very simplistic. They have very little RNG to them. In fact, they have almost zero RNG to them. The Sigma 3 stage, I may as well start talking about that right now. The Sigma 3 stage is set up in different phases. You have Sigma on the right side appearing, and he has two different attacks. He has several individual attacks, and he'll use 3 to 4 to 5, giving you enough time to kill him. However, he also has a quick attack, which is just attacking the entire room, and he'll vanish after that. That is a very time-consuming pattern. And he has a Sigma on the left side, which is a head, which has 3 different attack patterns. One of them is favorable, the second not so much, and the third is very undesirable. If Sprawl gets a bad Sigma pattern, 8-bit can definitely catch up in those 30 seconds. And of course the third stage of the Sigma fight is between his two forms. He summons some floating mechanical Sigma heads. Those are not really an issue, they die very fast. One single Rising Dragon Strike will kill him. So at this point, unless Sprawl messes up the refights, 8-bit cannot really gain any time on him. In fact, 8-bit may still lose some time if /B decides to be a jerk. Nice finish from 8-bit. He got a decent pattern. Sprawl finishing up Walrus, also no problems here. Someone called PETA because, oh boy, Zero is not in the mood to give mercy to these animals. I'm pretty sure Zero donates to the GDQ races frequently because he is not saving animals. Ooh, barely just missing out on the kill for Sprawl there. And despite everything, these players are still so close together. It's a very good race. But Sprawl reaching Sigma first, and 8-bit has to finish up the last boss. As you can tell, both players are using the PC version of this game. Most players in this tournament have been using the PC version with 1 or 2 exceptions. PC version has almost no loading times. PlayStation version has loading times. The PlayStation 2 version for the X Legacy collection is not allowed because it has some game-breaking bugs in it. And the GameCube version is completely ignored by the player base because it has awful loading times. 8-bit kind of messing up on Storm Hall. Sprawl going into Sigma 1. Again, there's not much to be talking about. Sigma 1, almost no RNG. The only RNG is when he appears in that corner, and that's... Actually, it doesn't even matter that much. He'll still take the same amount of damage. Sigma Stage 2, however. There's no RNG, but poor execution can cost you time. But Sprawl finishing it up like a boss. That's not going to be an issue. There we go. And with that, that is Sigma 2 down for Sprawl. And 8-bit approaching Sigma 1. And now Sprawl, will Sigma give you a favorable pattern? What are we gonna see here? Let's see here. He gets the bad pattern, but he does what he does best. Still takes down half of his health. That's impressive. A very good execution from Sprawl. And he gets the good pattern on Sigma right. This is pretty much a game. I cannot see Sprawl losing this anymore. If he had gotten the bad pattern, it would have given 8-bit a bit of time to catch up. Gets a bad pattern on this head too, but finishes up Sigma, and it'll be time when he enters the next room and speaks to the general. So congrats to sprawl5 for winning this game, unless he has a crash right now. I should not have said that. 8-bit also taking down half of Sigma's health. And that is time for Sprawl with a time of 42 flat. GG to Sprawl. And that is 8-bit going to be finishing up Sigma once he appears. And that is it for 8-bit. Going to be finishing up with a, I estimate about 4250-ish. Mm, 4254 is it going to be probably. Yep, 4253 for 8-bit. GG to both players. Let's see if I can quickly grab him in. We have a few moments before the next tournament comes in. There's honestly not much to talk about this race. They both had excellent execution at all times. Just that Sprawl's execution was slightly better than 8-bit's. That's all there is to it. And here we have 8-bit is great. 8-bit, congrats on your race. Sadly, you lost by a mere 30 seconds.
30 seconds is not mere. That is massive. That run was absolutely god-awful terrible.
Which one?
Mine.
You...
I'm not gonna shit talk. That was very bad. Well, here's the thing. I typically play on PlayStation because that's like how the board is ran. And I'm just not used to PC, like really bad. Like, it's not an excuse, I'm just saying. So, like, to get a 42 on PC is like getting a 44 on console. So, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. But honestly, you both had similar RNGs on everything. The only notable difference between you and Sprawl was that you had a double general float and he had one. Otherwise, your RNG was almost nearly identical, especially on Sigma 3. Like it wasn't
really bad. I just played really bad for the most part. Yeah, I didn't warm up like at all, but you know, my PS3 controller is also like absolute garbage. The O button gets like stuck down really bad. That's what almost killed me in Slash Beast, and it got me stuck in a ball in Slip Mushroom. That was fun.
Yeah, that was a bit painful. And sadly, this means that you are eliminated from the knockout tournament. What are your thoughts on the tournament as you've played so far?
I only did one other match, funny enough, because everyone in my group dropped. But yeah.
I actually missed that. I thought you won all 3 of your matches.
No, because it was a default win because 2 of them dropped. So like, yeah, 2 people in my group both dropped, so I just had 1 match. And because 2 people progressed, it didn't even matter who won. We both progressed.
Oh wow, the chat coming down with the smack talk. Do you have anything to say to the chat right now?
I'm not reading the chat. Let me whip this up real quick.
Let's see if we can get your opponent. Nope, Sprawl is opting to not do so. His English sucks according to him. Sadly, I would have liked having him in here, but you know, not everyone is. That's a shame. Even though, what are your? How do you feel about this tournament so far, despite having played? Yeah, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I like the Mega Man X tournaments. I've been I think I was in the first X tournament for X 100% back in 2016, and I really like all these hot tourneys coming in. I think there's been like multiple tournaments for X1 actually. Yeah, I was in the
Which one do you
one also.
Prefer, if you're honest, like the X4 100% or 0 100%?
Oh, you mean like X or 0?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never play X. X is a meme for me.
That's a lot coming from the guy who plays. I mean, what are you playing for, dude? What are you fighting for? That's a meme.
I guess. Zero is I don't know. X4 0 was like my first speed game. I've been running this for a long time. But freaking X, I like never play. There's always an ongoing war between the X and 0 players in this game. It's always fun, so I gotta keep to my side.
Let's clear that up right now. X is for scrubs, okay? X is for casuals.
Yeah, X freaking stinks.
0 is the true champion.
0's faster, so he's infinitely better in that regard.
Alright, dude. I have to cut it short because we are getting another tournament right after this. We are having a Cuphead tournament, and I'm sure the players for that tournament are preparing themselves for it. Thank you very much for your race. Even if you don't think you did a good job, I thought it was very nice to watch. Both of you were constantly neck and neck, and it was very exciting to watch. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And of course, best of luck to Sprawl for his next round. He will be facing the winner of. Let's see here. He will be facing the winner between Keanort and Chi, which is not exactly going to be the easiest one either. But that match has not been planned yet. So we'll have to wait later this week to see when the next matches are planned. And that is it for this tournament for today. Stick around, people, for the Cuphead tournament following up shortly. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to give the runners a follow. Be sure to give the Speed Gaming channel a follow. And just bookmark the schedule so that you can never, ever miss another one of these exciting matches. And of course, there we go. Hey, did I give the wrong command? Did I? Oh, not Racers Brothers. I'm an idiot. There we go. Alright, chat. It was a pleasure casting for you again. I'll see you again next time. Until then, stay safe and enjoy the content of Speed Gaming. Thank you very much.